Hello there, and yes, I continue with my saga. I'm just looking at my wee owl here, the wise old owl. Yep, absolutely. And my wee kitchen pillow. Um, I wish I had been the wise old owl earlier on. Anyway, my that was my what I thought was my lowest point in everything. But everything we have to go through is an education to ourselves. It's a point of growth, a point of learning, and should be a point of change. So at this point in my life, my drinking from that was the September that I was caught in charge of a car. For the next 2 months, my drinking became 24-hour drinking. I was terrified that I would run out of wine. I would do anything to get the wine. My husband and family were pouring the wine down the sink, so I had to hide it in the most unusual places so that I would never be without it. And to show you how desperate I was, I would sleep with the bottle of wine inside my pillowcase, holding on to the neck of it, so that nobody would find it when I was sleeping and they wouldn't pour it out, because I needed a drink by this time. I was physically dependent on alcohol. And to all around me, I looked like a selfish, spoilt woman who had everything in her life, everything she ever wanted. Her husband, her family, and all she could do was drink. And I get that. I understand that. But nobody knows, unless they've been there, what it feels like to have the obsession that all you can do is to get more of the thing that is killing you. And alcohol was killing me. And it's not a case of pull yourself together to stop drinking. You can't do that. Anyway, the next 2 months with Tom was just horrendous. He wouldn't speak to me. He was very, very angry with me. And I literally spent my time in my bedroom. And I would escape to get wine. But this time I was physically very ill. I was shaking, I was sweating. I was weak because I wasn't eating. And in the November, I got an appointment for the local detox hospital. And Tom took the day off, and he was to take me for a detox assessment. So the time came, and when he opened the door, I had found a bottle of wine and I was drunk. He was so angry, he pulled me out of my bed and said, "We're going anyway." Got to there and they wouldn't see me because I was drunk. And Tom said he wasn't going to leave because he didn't know what to do with me anymore. So they told him to wait a few hours to see if I would sober up, but I didn't. So they said if he could take me home, make sure I drank nothing, and take me back the next day. And that's what we did. There was no alcohol in the house, and I was begging him for alcohol because the shakes, my whole bed was shaking. It actually felt as if it was moving. I was begging him to give me something to take the edge off it, and he wouldn't do it. The next morning he opened my bedroom door, threw me a £5 note and said, "Get a taxi out to the hospital or you and your bed are out in the street." And Tom's a man of his word. Our relationship had never been rocky until I started drinking. I went the next day and they admitted me, and I was very ill. I had bed sores and my liver was inflamed, and I did feel extremely ill. I was vomiting all the time. So when I got out of there 10 days later, I vowed I would go back to Alcoholics Anonymous. And no matter what my life was like, Tom didn't want me, but the nurses assured me that I had to do it for me. So I went to Alcoholics Anonymous, and now I am not putting Alcoholics Anonymous down. It's all about the person who goes. I didn't listen properly. I stopped going to meetings. I thought I knew it all. I was sober. I was getting on, 2.5 years later, getting on with my life. I had to leave Tom's house with just 2 plastic bags with very little in it, and I was given a flat to stay in because Tom could not endure me in the house. He couldn't talk to me. He would body swerve me. He literally couldn't stand me. So I went and I managed to get a flat, and I stopped going to meetings, and I thought I knew it all. I thought it was willpower. And one day after 2.5 years, and my life was okay, I was getting on with it as best as I could, I decided to drink our little bottle of wine that size, just for that nice warm glow. Well, I can tell you that nice warm glow hit my stomach, hit my brain, and I went out for a 3-litre box and I drank the whole lot, because I had introduced alcohol into my system and it had reacted with my brain, and that was me. And the result of this I will tell you in the next video, of drinking that very tiny small drink. Almost led to my death a 1.5 years later.